Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. I'm trying to block the wind from hitting my camera so you guys can hear me, so I'm on the paddleboard, if you couldn't have guessed, and I'm gonna show you guys the ins and out of paddleboard fishing. All right, this is gonna be like a paddleboard fishing guide. I know I've made a few of these in the past, but I've improved a lot and I know a lot more about paddleboard fishing, so consider this the master expert prestige tier guide, and I'm gonna explain to you guys why I do it and why I think it's the best way to catch trophy bass. So first, I'm gonna show you guys the crate rig real quick, and then we'll get to the actual fishing part. So out of anything on my entire channel, I definitely get asked about my crate the most. This is literally just a milk crate. This is a wide one, so it's not a square shape. As you can see, it's longer this way than it is this way. My board has these back straps that I attach to my milk crate. I just screw the milk crate in right here. As you can see, there's a little screw and a nut or whatever. I don't know the terms exactly, but the rod holder's not going anywhere, and so I kind of just put the cord in between there and it holds it down pretty tight. You could honestly do anything for the GoPro mount. You can use zip ties here. Just make sure you can attach a selfie stick to the back. Also, try and align yours straight when you do it. Mine is off to the side and it kind of like hits this rod sometimes, which kind of sucks. But yeah, 2 rod holders, camera mount. I plan on adding a new rod holder right here because I got my BFS rod over there and it kind of sucks having to leave it on the board at all times whenever I fish. I got my camera, I hang baits up on the side, my water bottle, terminal tackle, and just all the worms, all the little goodies you can imagine fit perfectly in this wide crate. I have had the smaller square crates in the past. So I have used the smaller square crates in the past, and I don't really like those because on the paddleboard, I'm trying to get as much space as I can. So honestly, the wide crate is just better for me. The thing about the board is you need to have very good organization skills when it comes to leaving your paddle and your net somewhere while you fish. When it comes to having the max amount of room in your crate, the 2 rod holders, you just need to be very space efficient because you don't have all the space in the world on the board. Whenever I go camping, coming soon, I usually put the tent and my clothes and stuff on the front because it stays more dry up there than it does back here. Sometimes I get asked if my stuff gets wet, and it definitely does. Whenever you paddle and you kind of kick the paddle back up, it splashes in the crate a little bit. But if you have any valuables like your phone or a camera like I do, just put it in a bag. Like a Ziploc bag works completely fine. It doesn't look like it's gonna rain today, so I'm gonna play it a little dangerous, leave my camera out. But my phone, I usually just slide it under my terminal box right here. It's not the most effective, but it works. I also get a lot of questions about the rain. You know, what do I do when it rains and I'm on the paddleboard? And the simple answer is, if I know it's gonna rain, I'll bring a raincoat and I'll kind of just pitch it over the crate like this. And anything electronic or valuable, I just turn it off, put it in the crate. With the GoPro, I just close the door and I stop filming for the most part. But yeah, now that we're done with the space organizing and showing you the paddleboard layout, I think it's time to fish, so let's get to it. Okay, so today is not the windiest day ever. I actually do like the wind that we got today. It's not too bad, but it's also good enough to where I could throw like a chatterbait or something if I need to. One piece of advice that I would give to you is try and use the wind to your advantage when you're on the paddleboard. So for example, if I know this stretch of docks is really good right here, then I'll just paddle straight across the lake and I'll turn around and I'll just let the wind take me back so I can fish those. That's one thing that has helped me become more accepting of paddleboard fishing, because I know the wind can make or break a lot of people's day. And it has to mine too, especially when I was just starting out. You know, I go out on days that are 15 miles an hour and I have great days on the paddleboard. So you just have to get used to it. Just know where the wind is coming from and be able to adjust. So if the wind is coming this way, I know if I paddle all the way to that side of the lake, then the trees and stuff over there would block me from the wind and I'd actually be able to fish. But yeah, I'm sure you guys knew that. That's just one like little real minor piece of advice that I can give, because it's changed my way of paddleboard fishing a lot. Like it's made me have a lot more fun on the paddleboard, knowing that the wind isn't, like, it's never gonna actually stop me too much. So one of the biggest tips that I could give on the paddleboard is when you're fishing, especially with wind, but just fishing no matter what, use your legs as your trolling motor. As you can see, if I kick this way, I start turning this way. And if I kick this way, kicking my feet clockwise, and I start turning left, I think. It is something that you get used to over time. But like even just kicking straight back like that, you go out. If you kick like this, you go in, You go in. Sorry, that was the wrong hand motion I did right there. Using your feet is very important for when you don't have trolling motor, you don't have power poles, you don't have nothing like that. All right, you got your two thumpers right here. You got to use them. And I know I get the, you know, alligator in Florida comments, and I am, you know, concerned at times. I am always cautious when it comes to gators, but I'm never scared, because my reasoning behind it is because if a gator were to come up right under me, oh, there's like a spider or something on my leg, but if a gator were to come up and see my leg dangling off the board, they would also see the entire paddleboard. And this board is, I believe, 12 feet. So I think if a gator comes up and sees my leg dangling off and they see this 12-foot silhouette on top of the water and they don't know what it is, they don't want to find out what it is. Like, if you think about it, how many times have you seen two 12-foot alligators just going at it, just ripping each other apart? Now, mating season is different. I'm very cautious around mating season because they are still wild animals at the end of the day. They're unpredictable. But if it's winter, or if it's fall, or if it's summer, you know, spring, I'm not too concerned. Whenever I'm fishing a new spot, I'm always cautious and I'm always looking around before I put my feet in the water. Especially in a dirty water spot like this, I'm always making sure we're in the clear, and I'm always, you know, looking down, making sure. And I don't know, maybe I'll get proven wrong one day and a gator rips my leg off. I'm not saying that's impossible, but I'm saying I do have reasoning as to why I leave my foot in the water. I don't just do it because it's good for fishing. I have a real reason as to why I don't think I would get attacked by a gator. All right, enough yapping. Let's take a cast here. So this is a spot where I catch a lot of fish, and I'm hoping I could hook one real quick so I could kind of show you the technique and everything. I would also recommend for you shorter folks, have a narrow board so that you could put both legs off each side. This is a 30-inch wide, and I'm about 5'6", I think. And I can fit my legs off pretty comfortably. I can kick both of them like that, and it helps a ton when you're fishing in the wind. Like, it is a game changer. So make sure you get a narrow board. I think 30 inches is like the standard. And honestly, anything over that, I don't really see necessary. Just don't get something that's like 26 inches because you might not be able to fit the wide crate on the back. But it doesn't really matter. Honestly, just explore your preferences. I mean, these paddle boards are $150 off Amazon, which is a steal. So that's another reason why I think it's amazing, is it's very budget friendly for those people who don't have a ton of money to spend on a fishing John boat or even a kayak. The paddleboard, $150. I roll it up into my Honda Accord every day, and I drive down to the lake, and it's fun. I have a lot of fun. I don't just do it because I can't afford a boat. I think it's very fun, and I think there is real reason as to why it's the best to catch trophy bass, but we'll get into that later. It is a lot hotter than I remember it being earlier. This is scary. Oh, someone's reacting to my messages. Oh, I got a fish. All right, so the technique is to make sure your legs are helping you fight the fish a little bit. So, oh, might be a big fish. Okay, so I don't really know how to describe it. Just whenever you're, oh, that's a nice fish. So whenever you're fighting a fish, as you can see, I'm just kicking my legs to make sure I have leverage over that fish, and then I'm like kind of bringing her toward me. That's very important. You'll kind of get the feel for it the more you fish off the board. It's kind of a hard feeling to describe, so you kind of just have to do it for yourself. Let's see if I could get a good net job on camera here. So you want to reel her in like a pretty decent amount, and then you lift your rod up and hold the middle, and then grab your net when she's close, and then swing your net down. I see a lot of people paddleboard fish who kind of just like pick their rod up right after they hook a fish and then like reach their net all the way out, and that just does not work. So don't try doing that. Just let her get real close, let her get real close, and then drop the net down and swing. Look at this bass though. That is a nice fat fish on the G Crazy. I'd say that was a good fight. That was a good example of what to do. I'm sorry, I can't really explain it to someone who hasn't paddleboard fished, it's like, it's just such a unique experience and it's hard to describe. So I'm sorry if that was a little like, I don't know if that was like dumb or hard to understand for some of you, but for all the paddleboard guys, make sure you use your legs to your advantage, not only from the wind, but when you're fighting a fish too. It was far in there, right on top of the mouth. Perfect. Look at that belly. These fish are starting to get fatter. It's getting nice and cool in Florida. And this is a nice bass. I'm very happy with this one. First one of the day. Let's see if we can get some more. Peace out. Get out of here. All right, so first one of the day on the G Crazy. I like this worm. I'm fishing this on 7-pound fluoro and a very light rod. I would recommend you fish this on a spinning rod so that you don't backlash your reel every cast. It is difficult to throw on a bait caster. I just like the bait caster more. I'm more experienced with a bait caster. I honestly cannot throw a spinning rod. I suck at it. And if you have a BFS setup, you should be fine. Just make sure you're using light line, light drag, set the hook soft. Actually, don't set the hook, just reel into them, and yeah, you'll land them, I promise. You can also use structures like this to kind of like minimize the damage from the wind. So like if there was a patch of lily pads or something, you could kind of like tuck your board all the way in the back and still fish. That's one thing that I used to do as well when I was starting out, is whenever it was super windy, like 20 miles an hour, I would just sit in a bunch of lily pads and I'd bury my fins into the pads. And I would just bomb a big glide bait or a soft bait out in the middle. And I would get bit, and it was very fun because I could still fish in the windy conditions and I could still get away with throwing a big bait, you know. That's also a rule of thumb of mine, is like the worse, or worse is a bad way to describe it, but like the more crazy and hectic the conditions are, the more wind, the more clouds, the higher odds of me getting bit on the glide. So it's windy today, which is good, but there's not too many clouds, which I'm kind of skeptical of, but we're gonna give it a shot anyway later today. Whoa! All right, the wind is heating up here. Let's toss the bellows gill in there. I need some big weedless action. The big worm is stepping, the hugiculus worm is stepping up to the plate. I just got bit. I just got smoked right when I dropped it in there. Oh my god. Oh my gosh, my drag was not set. Oh no. My drag was so loose. She's still on there, but she's in the pads. Oh, I messed that up. Please don't come off. Come on. Help me out here. Please. What is she stuck on? Oh, I see her. Come here. Oh, no. What is she stuck on? I can't even net her. Is she in there? Nope, close to it. Come on, get it in the nets. Okay. All right, I got her. Oh, that was a disaster. Okay. How big is this fish? Oh, nicer one. Not super heavy, but a long fish on the 5.8. First cast, I just dropped it in these pads, and she smoked it. So when you're on the paddleboard, the reel set is very important. You reel in and get all the slack out of your line if you're fishing fluoro. And I think it helps on the paddleboard when you have less leverage on these fish. It definitely helps a little bit. Look at that, nice one on the bellows gill. That's sick. Thank you for playing. There she goes. Nice. Okay, another successful paddleboard fish. That was sick. Whoa, not a great situation. Mom, I backlashed. Help. So another thing I'll do, if it's a little too windy for my liking, is I'll just go super shallow. At least in Florida, I could find a lot of fish this way. And I mean, boats aren't gonna come this shallow and behind these pads like this. So I think sometimes if you find a spot that looks like this, where there's pads and the bank's right next to it, if you can find a spot like that that's a little deeper, you could find some pretty nice fish that way. And I've had a lot of success doing that. Yeah, that's one thing that I also like about the paddleboard over boats, is just like the accessibility to new areas of water and to new bodies of water, just because you can roll it up and it's so compact, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people don't realize that too, is you're not always fishing Lake Okeechobee, all right? Sometimes you just want to go hit up a smaller lake, or you want to go try a new lake on the side of the road, and you could just roll out the board and get the automatic pump going, and it's pretty easy. And it's easy, it's quick, and once you get out here, it's really nice. It's great exercise too. Exercise your legs, your arms, your back. I don't know what else, probably everything. Yeah, super awesome way to fish. 13 out of 10 would recommend. So another thing that I like about paddleboard fishing is this kind of like adds on to what I said before about, you know, being able to access unaccessible water when you're, or compared to a boat, is you see this dock right here, right? The bank is right there. It's got like the walkway right here, and there's pads right here. So I'm automatically assuming that a boat is gonna fish this dock just from out in the middle of the lake, or out, you know, maybe 20 feet past the dock. So how I think of it is, if I can get behind the dock, then I'm gonna be presenting my bait in a way that those fish don't see often. Now, I'm not gonna say they never see it like that, because I mean, you know, there could be other people fishing on kayaks and stuff, but it is a new way to present your bait where those fish may not have seen it before. And that definitely helps me when I'm dock fishing, because I think that has made me a much better paddleboard angler. I mean, if you guys have been watching the channel for a while, you guys know that I love dock fishing. I mean, it's one of my favorite things to do. And I have learned a lot of things about dock fishing, especially from the paddleboard. It's taught me, it's taught me a lot. And I think this is a really good tip. Just, it automatically gets you more bites no matter where you're fishing. Like, whether you're fishing docks that have never been fished, or you're fishing docks where hundreds of people have fished, if you present to these fish under the dock in a new way, you're automatically increasing your odds of getting bit. And if you think about a bait fish, right? If you think about a bluegill, it can swim from the bank under the dock and come out the front. Or it could swim in from the side, leave out the side, or it could swim in from the side and just stay there, all right? It's not just gonna come from the front into the back and then immediately leave out the front like those lures from the boats do. So if you cast from the side and you kind of just leave it under there, it could kind of give those fish the hint that, like, okay, maybe this bait isn't fake, you know? Or maybe, like, it gives those fish a little bit more of a reason to commit, because they say, okay, I haven't seen a lot of fake baits do this, or okay, I haven't seen a lot of lures do this. You know, maybe I'll eat it this time. So yeah, that's one little tip that I have. I use it a lot. Gives me a lot of success. And yeah, I think it's pretty easy to do as well. Just dock fishing on the paddleboard. I love it. You get a lot more skipping opportunities, because you know, your rod is so low to the water, you could just throw it back in there. Even with like a hard bait, like a swim bait or like a soft glide, skipping is very good on the paddleboard in general. So yeah, it's another tip, kind of fishing infographic, fishing information that you can use. Okay guys, so I like to do 2 feet off the board occasionally. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm fishing kind of short, and I'm fishing with a worm, so I have time to adjust for the net if I need to. And I'm doing a more punching style, so I think 2 feet off the board gives me enough strength to set the hook a little harder. I don't know, maybe that's just like superstition. I see David Lee with 2 feet off the board when he punches, and I was like, man, that looks kind of gangster. And so that's kind of just what I do now, is I keep 2 feet off the board. Especially when the wind is blowing me right direction, I just use my feet to get closer or further away from these pads right here that I'm fishing. And it works. Shout out David Lee, the GOAT.
Do you think when...
I have a fish. I don't know if it's a bluegill. Got him. Yes, dude. Thank God. I didn't even know if they were real anymore. I was losing my mind there for a little bit. Ah, yes. We did it. Another fish on G Crazy. Who would have thunk? There it is. Tiny one. But a fish is a fish. Okay, so I've been fishing for a long time now, and I haven't caught a fish in a little bit, but I thought now would be a good time to kind of explain the big reason on why I paddleboard fish, and kind of how I think it correlates with trophy bass in specific. Separates paddleboard fishing from boat fishing is stealth. I think with all these boats making all these pinging noises and their live scope and their trolling motor constantly buzzing, I think that these fish are gonna learn what that is pretty quickly, if they haven't already. And I just think it's not gonna work in the long run. Now, this is where I think the paddleboard beats the boat game for sure. Because when you're on the paddleboard, there's no dead giveaway signs that you're there, especially when there's wind and chop and clouds and stuff. Unless you're fishing a super clear water spot, which even if you are, you're still more stealthy on the board than you are on a boat. I just think the stealth is very important for trophy bass, and I think it's something that goes overlooked by those guys who have a boat, who may not even be thinking about what the fish are hearing or what the fish are seeing or what they're feeling. I think it's something that goes overlooked by a lot of boat guys. Now, obviously, paddleboard fishing isn't all sunshine and rainbows. There are some cons to it, like the wind can definitely be an issue sometimes. Storage could be an issue for some people. You can't bring 9,000 different rods for 9,000 different techniques. You can't, you just don't have that much space on the board. And for me, that's not really an issue because I don't need all that much. I just stick to what I'm good with and I stick to what I know works. And usually that's all I need. But yeah, for some people, it could definitely be uncomfortable too because you're sitting down all day and there's no backrest, so you have to have a pretty straight posture, which can bother some people. But I mean, I sit in school 5 days a week and I come out fishing after school most days, and I'm usually slouched over. I have a fish, I think. No, I don't. I lied. I'm usually slouched over in school for like 4 hours a day. And then I come paddleboard fishing and I sit straight and my back feels fine. It doesn't really hurt. So that's just something you have to get used to. It might hurt at first, but the more you do it, it won't hurt as much, and plus it's good for you. So it is just a lot of work too, constantly having to kick your legs, and it could be overwhelming when you're fishing on a paddleboard. You have to like time when you go and get your net ready, and you got to make sure your paddle doesn't fly off. There are a lot of things to keep track of, and I guess I could shy some people away. But I think once you learn how to paddleboard fish and you learn more about how smart these trophy bass really are and the things you can do with paddleboard fishing, I think it could be very useful, and I think it's gonna catch on more and more as the years go on. Not to mention, if you are just fishing for fun, there are so many funny things you could do on the board. Like, there are so many spots that you can get into and you can creep beside, and the boats can't get there at all. It's so fun. I honestly think paddleboard fishing is better than boat fishing. This is my own opinion. This is what I like more. If you guys disagree, then I don't know, don't try and cut my head off. It's just an opinion. I just think paddleboard fishing suits my style the best. I enjoy it more than boat fishing. I think it's more fun. And yeah, I don't really know how else to describe it. So yeah, kind of like I said at the beginning, if you were skeptical about paddleboard fishing, maybe you were on the fence, maybe you were thinking about buying one, but you don't want to drop $150 right away, I would say go for it. I think it's the most fun way that I've ever fished. I think it's better than kayak fishing because you have a blank canvas to work with. You're not like stuck and trapped in this V-shaped vessel. You know what I'm trying to say? I don't know how to describe it. Paddleboard fishing is awesome. If you guys have never tried it, I would give it a shot, especially if you're especially if you're exclusively bank fishing right now and you want to find a way to get out on the water without spending so much money. Dude, paddleboard fishing is the move. All right, paddleboard fishing is the way to go. Paddleboard fishing is the method. And I think as the years go on, I'm hoping it will slowly catch on, but I'm also hoping not, because, you know, I think I'd have the jump on everyone if it never caught on. But at the end of the day, I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons, and I would give it a try if I were you. I know I keep circling back and saying the same thing over and over again, but yeah, that's all I got.